So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what are the challenges of being a play space owner. So I wrote down kind of 3 things that I felt like were the most challenging things about owning a business like this. One of the things I hear all the time when I'm at work is that, well, it must be frustrating to have to pick up toys all the time, and dealing with other people's kids. For me, I feel like it's not really the kids that annoy me. It's more of the parents and their parenting style. I don't think that kids can be to blame if they're acting out or they're doing things that might be annoying or have bad behaviors. That all comes back to the parents' parenting style and if they're correcting that behavior or not. So it does sometimes get really frustrating when you are there and you're noticing behaviors that children are having and noticing that the parents are not really doing anything to kind of alleviate the situation or help fix the situation. And it's hard not to judge some parents on how they parent their kids. It's also hard because everybody's priorities are different, and what they want to teach their kids are different too. So we can't really say that, they're bad parents or, what they're teaching the kid is right and wrong, because it's probably not. It's just basically maybe how their personality is. But it can be really frustrating because of that aspect, having to deal with all these different personalities that come in and all these different parents' personalities and what they deem acceptable and what we deem acceptable. So just maneuvering that can be challenging at times. Okay. The second, and I think probably the most hard to deal with thing is customer complaints and customers' judgments about our play space. One of the things I really hate is that you often hear negative feedback a lot more loudly than positive feedback. And always a negative feedback is always saying things like that tell you in your head that we are not good enough. We don't clean enough. Our play space is not big enough, They don't like the way that we have our coffee bar set up. They don't like the way that our castle is built, things like that. So it's really hard sometimes because you do get a lot of people that tell you all these things about how you're not doing a good job, how they don't like where you're located, how they don't like all these aspects of your business when they visit you. And that causes a lot of loss of morale on your part. I feel like in this business and in any business in general, you have to have a very, very, very thick skin, and that you have to build that up very, very quickly. And sometimes those comments do get to you and you kind of have a rough week or a rough month or whatever. But you have to learn to pick yourself up and just keep going, because if you don't keep going and you just keep wallowing in that stress or in that negative feedback, you just will never get anywhere. So just remember, you have to believe in yourself, believe in your vision, try not to stray away from what you initially want your place to be and where you want it to go, because that's very, very important. When you start listening to all these negative feedbacks and trying to change yourself to meet their needs a little bit more, you start to kind of get out of the niche that you were in. And it's very important in business to have a niche. People will never understand that in this business, there is a huge money issue. I just can't snap my finger and change our flooring or, build a wall or something like that tomorrow. I just can't. What's most important to us is paying our employees and then paying rent. If we can meet those 2 things, everything else is a bonus. But how do you know that I'm only making like $500 in excess profit that week? $500 doesn't go a long way. So I just feel like people feel like, okay, because they voice their opinion that it should be done overnight, and it does not. It takes time to develop those things. It takes time to make a plan. It takes time to get cash to do those things. So I wish people would be a lot more understanding about that aspect of it, especially when they're complaining about the pricing or something like that. We need to make enough to meet the top 2 things that I just said, right? To pay our employees and pay rent. So if I keep charging less because they want me to charge less, I would never ever make enough to even sustain my business. So just having to deal with that type of criticism can be so hard for us, because you kind of just want to tell people to well, you know what? If you don't like it, you don't have to come, kind of thing. Because in reality, they don't realize they're being really rude when they say that, and you kind of want to be rude back to them. That's another lesson for next time, though, to try not to take every criticism diplomatically, right? And another thing along the same lines of having to deal with customers is that sometimes people just don't have common sense. Like my version of common sense is not like their version of common sense. So sometimes you find yourself repeating yourself over and over and over, especially when you're handing them a paper or something with all the things listed on there. But they still will question you. For instance, if you had like 3 or 4 things on a birthday party package, like, oh, 4 hats come with it, white tablecloths, 2 turtle doves, a pillow. And they would still come back and be like, how many turtle doves? Almost like you consistently are always repeating yourself when you think that it's just like common knowledge, that people should know these things. But like I said, common sense is not for everyone. And just, it gets frustrating at times to have to consistently repeat what you're saying. So the last thing I feel like we struggle a lot with is employee dynamics. I just think that one of the biggest issues that any employer has is dealing with the expectations of the boss-employee relationship. It's very frustrating that you just can't clone yourself, because your employees are different people. They learn differently. Their style of problem solving is different, So just being able to trust somebody just to take care of everything for your business is also really hard. But then also one of the things is also, you notice sometimes your employees don't do things that you expect them to do. So I feel like setting expectations is like a really big thing, and constantly having to touch bases with them all the time to make sure that your leadership resonates with them, and that all the things that you need to get done is being done. I think brushing up on your leadership skills is really, really important, especially if you are an employer. Just dealing with training, and then also employees working together and employees working alone is one of the issues that I find that I struggle with all the time, and that I always have to touch bases with them all the time to make sure we're all on the same page. So those are the 3 things that I feel like you should know if you're opening up a play space. And if you do have a play space, you probably know what I'm talking about. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm really bad at saying that, but subscribe to this channel to keep up on more play space information, or if you want to look back at my old videos and see what I used to do, which is photography. Talk to you next time. Bye.